Campus cops. Lincolnshire police join forces with students to combat crime on the city streets. It's one of the country's poorest regions. We meet a mum who struggles to make ends meet.
And so I'd find myself missing meals just to feed her.
The German prisoners of war who left a unique cartoon record of their time in captivity. Up for the cup, Lincoln are into their first round on Saturday.
Well, we're not seeing ourselves as favourites at all. You know, we're going down there knowing that we've got a job to do under difficult circumstances, so our feet are firmly on the ground at them.
And the Hoosiers are singing just for us.
Good afternoon, this is LSJ Today and we're live from Lincoln. I'm Rachel Lowes.
And I'm Philip Wilson-Smith. We have 25 minutes of all the news from around the region. Here's our top story. Lincolnshire Police has become the first force in the country to use students in its front line against crime. In a groundbreaking initiative, undergrads from the University of Lincoln will become community support officers and campus cops. Here's our report from Kelly Pyatt.
These streets will soon see a different type of police officer walking the rounds. Lincolnshire Police has become the first in the country to have student volunteers.
Lincolnshire Police will launch this new initiative with the University of Lincoln just last night, and it's hoped it will boost their volunteer officers by a large amount. They currently have 600 officers and are hoping to get this up to 1,000 by the end of the year. Now, this new launch means that students can get involved by becoming student PCSOs or by becoming campus volunteer drop-ins. Now, Lincolnshire Police's volunteer efforts with their officers has been commended in the past by Mike Penning, the policing minister, and Theresa May, the Home Secretary, when they came to Lincoln earlier this year. Now, this is something that Lincolnshire Police are looking to do to sort of make sure they have frontline policing continue with Bobbies on the beat. With their funding due to be announced on Friday, it's hoped this is going to be a favourable thing for them in the future.
However, Alan Hardwick, the Police and Crime Commissioner, said this is about more than just policing on the cheap.
I know that, detractors will say, oh, it's policing on the cheap and all that sort of thing, but it isn't. Nothing could be further from the truth. We don't need to police on the cheap in Lincolnshire. That's just, that's never been part of the equation. But what we do is we offer people opportunities to join the policing family. And if they want to take up those opportunities, absolutely fine. Volunteers don't get paid, but that's the nature of volunteering. They want to do something. They want to give of their time and their skills. But it's hugely important that not just what we can get from volunteers, but what they can get from us.
Currently, the first crop of student volunteers stands at 11, but this will increase over successive years as the scheme grows. Second-year psychology and forensic science student Lucy McMahon starts her first shift this Friday.
Just like going out, speaking to the public, seeing what happens like day to day, because on the news you only hear like major crimes, but it'll be quite interesting to see the prevalence of different ones.
For all the students involved, valuable experience and skills will be gained, and a potential career in law enforcement too. And for the police, issues with students and the local community in Lincoln can also be solved more easily.
I mean, I've been to community meetings around the university with the people who live here. And I know on occasions there's been friction, students will be students, sort of thing. But I really hope and believe that by involving students in this initiative, then you will be able to build bridges in a very meaningful way.
Kelly Pyatt reporting for LSJ Today.
Lincolnshire tour operators are working with government agencies to help stranded holidaymakers in Egypt. British flights in and out of Sharm el-Sheikh airport were stopped over concerns about lax security. Intelligence reports suggest a Russian airliner plane was brought down by a bomb, killing all 224 people on board. It is estimated that 20,000 tourists are stranded. Mark Brewer from the Lincolnshire travel agency in Travel spoke to LSJ News.
I mean, they've just got to sit tight and listen to what they're being told by the holiday representatives that'll be out there coordinating everything in line with the advice from the Foreign Office. They'll have been informed of what's going on, and I think the latest information from the big tour operators that they're trying and hoping to get people out tomorrow.
Several areas in Lincolnshire have been named as some of the most deprived in the country, and 1 in 4 children is on or below the poverty line. Our reporter Angeline McCall has this report.
Lincoln, Boston, and Skegness have been named in the top 10% of government poverty ratings. The figures take a number of factors into account: how much money people earn, how healthy they are, and how they can access services such as accommodation. 9 months ago, Donna was rehoused by the council after having financial difficulties. She suffers with health problems that make it difficult for her to work and provide for her 5-year-old daughter.
I guess it's horrible because you don't know what to do, and you don't know how to get out of that rut, and every day is just the same as worrying where's the next meal going to come from. And so I'd find myself missing meals just to feed her, because we couldn't afford to obviously buy food at that point. We was homeless, and then we was put into accommodation. My overcome was, you know, doing it for my daughter, you know, to make her life bearable, I guess. So that's why I think I asked for the help, because it wasn't fair on her.
Donna has a story like many others here in Lincoln. In 2014, the Lincoln Food Bank gave out 2,124 parcels to families and single individuals. Abbey Ward, Park Ward, and Birchwood are some of the areas with the highest levels of deprivation. Birchwood comes out on top at 23%, followed by both Abbey and Park Ward at 19%. But now, after housing costs are taken into consideration, the numbers go up dramatically. Birchwood at 35% and Park and Abbey at 30%. One factor may be that this cathedral city functions more as an industrial town.
I think quite often people think of Lincoln as being quite a sort of market town with a cathedral, Christmas market, but it has got the issues of a sort of northern industrial town. It is the centre. It's quite a rural county, Lincolnshire, and Lincoln City is obviously the centre of that. So people are attracted to Lincoln with the hope of finding jobs, work, and that doesn't always materialise.
The Lincoln City Council has different initiatives in place, like food vouchers for children and pop-up uniform shops. That's all from me. Back to you in the studio.
Meanwhile, the prospect of having to pay employees £7.20 an hour next April is worrying Lincolnshire's small businesses. The current minimum wage is £6.50 an hour, and some organisations like the City of Lincoln Council are already paying the voluntary amount of £8.20 per hour. Members of the Federation of Small Businesses say they will experience a squeeze. David Thorpe is from the FSB.
They're worried that it will impact upon their costs when wages rise accordingly, and could prevent them from, say, taking on additional employees. It could affect their decisions to grow, expand, and could even affect their ability to offer extra hours to existing employees.
Here's a roundup of other top stories from Lincolnshire today, and filmmaker Neil Bonnett is set to be released from prison in Indonesia tomorrow. Neil, who is from North Highcombe, has been in jail for more than 5 months. He was accused of filming a documentary about piracy at sea without having the correct visa and permission. His colleague Rebecca Prosser was also set free.
An 11th century Lincoln church could soon be moving into the modern age and have solar panels fitted on its roof. Officials from St Mary Le Wigford in Lincoln's High Street have met business leaders to discuss the addition of panels to one of the city's oldest churches. They will need to show English heritage that they would not detract from the Grade 1 listed building.
3-year-old girl Ivy Mitchell from Helpringham, who won a Children of Courage Award for her outstanding bravery, faces open heart surgery before Christmas. Ivy was born with the genetic disorder DeGeorge syndrome. Ivy is at the severe end of the spectrum and will need further life-saving operations. She has already had open heart surgery 3 years ago. On to politics now, and here's our week in Westminster with political reporter Calvin Robinson. And let's start with yesterday's Prime Minister's questions and a winter crisis for the NHS.
Thanks guys. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has warned of more winter problems in the NHS. He pressed the Prime Minister on a health service deficit and how it may affect the NHS over the coming months. Here's the Prime Minister's response.
Well, first of all, let me deal directly with the King's Fund. What we've done on this side of the House is appoint a new Chief Executive to the NHS, Mr Simon Stevens, who worked under the last Labour government and did a very good job for them. He produced the Stevens plan that he said required at least £8 billion of government funding, and we're putting in £10 billion behind that plan. That is the plan that we're producing, and the results you can see is that we've got 1.3 million more operations, 7.8 million more outpatient appointments, 4.7 million more diagnostic tests. What is going up in the NHS is the number of treatments, is the number of successful outcomes. And if he wants to know who is heading for a winter crisis, I would predict that it's the Labour Party that is heading for a winter crisis.
Elsewhere, Justice Secretary Michael Gove has said he wants to reduce the overall prison population in England and Wales. Speaking at the Howard League conference, he said he hoped prison numbers would fall over time. He also hinted at potential sentencing reform, but said he didn't want to leap to any conclusions. And finally, the Scottish Government believes it will receive powers to restore tax credit cuts under changes to the Scotland Bill. Scottish Secretary David Mundell said the bill made it crystal clear that Holyrood government could act on tax credits. The government, however, said it will not reveal any plans until they have been fully costed. That's all for your week in Westminster. Back to you guys in the studio.
A research group from the University of Lincoln have discovered a series of unseen cartoons from World War I. The images tell the story of the everyday lives of prisoners of war held in camp in Lincolnshire. Eleanor Weaver reports.
Lincolnshire's county archives, unbeknown to most, held the treasure these researchers never believed they would find. A series of cartoons the world had forgotten. We spoke to Professor Jane Chapman, a member of the research team, to find out more.
These were single cartoons, and they were done with watercolour and pencil as well, and they were really quite big and clear, and they show a record of what life must have been like for these people.
And this initial find led to so many new developments in the group's research.
We found a map that plots all the sea defences, there's hundreds of them, that have been discovered or reclaimed to reclaim the land since the 7th century, since the Saxon period. And indeed there's a little part of the map that refers to the year that these cartoons were done, and the cartoons show pictures of that, of them labouring in the fields and this kind of thing. But when you look at them, you think, well, are they just digging potatoes, or are they making something more substantial, like a big dike that would keep the sea out?
The Everyday Lives research is being run from the University of Hertfordshire and are working in a partnership with the University of Lincoln. Professor Chapman describes what we can see in the cartoons.
There are caricatures of the bosses of the camp. There's one scene of them bringing back an enormous side of pork, ham, and there's little captions in German, Schinken, which is the German word for ham, so it's what they ate. There was a camp there in the Second World War, and the local historians know about that, and they've written about that, but there's nothing in the records that they've found, or they've written, about this one in the First World War, so it really is secret history.
Jane and the rest of the group have applied for a further grant to help forward their research. Eleanor Weaver, LSJ Today.
Coming up, we'll have our sports update, and is it cup glory for Lincoln City? The city boss reckons it'll be a tough game.
And we also caught the Hoosiers in concert in Lincoln. They gave a special performance of their hit single Worried About Ray for LSJ Today.
The truth be told, I'm worried what the future holds. Future holds unstoppable.
The online privacy of millions of people could soon be under threat. Home Secretary Theresa May set out plans for the Investigatory Powers Bill in the House of Commons yesterday. The bill that critics call the Snoopers Charter proposes that intelligence services and the police will be given the right to scan without a warrant people's internet connection records. Our technology reporter Martin Hollinshead is here to talk with the Tech Talk to explain what it means.
The task of law enforcement and the security and intelligence agencies has become vastly more demanding in this digital age. It is right, therefore, that those who are charged with protecting us should have the powers they need to do so, but it is the role of government and Parliament to ensure that there are limits to those powers. So let me be clear. The draft bill we are publishing today is not a return to the Draft Communications Data Bill of 2012. It will not include powers to force UK companies to capture and retain third-party internet traffic from companies based overseas. It will not compel overseas communications service providers to meet our domestic retention obligations for communications data. And it will not ban encryption or do anything to undermine the security of people's data.
So, what you're probably wondering is, how will that affect me? Well, the way the bill works is that it would force broadband and mobile network providers to retain connection records for 12 months. So, for example, the government could find out when you last used Facebook on your phone, and then use Twitter on your laptop just a few hours later. After that time, it's stated that they must delete them in a way that ensures access is impossible. However, while a warrant would not be needed for the connection record, it would be needed to make service providers hand over browser history, such as what specific tweets had been viewed. Interestingly, it's also emerged today that MI5 have been secretly collecting data about UK phone calls over the past 10 years in order to search for terrorists. The 1984 Telecommunications Act has been referred to by David Anderson QC as a piece of legislation that was so vague that anything could have been done under it. Now, keeping with the theme of spying, but on the big screen, the new Bond film Spectre took a record-breaking £6.5 million at the UK box office on its opening day. The film has all the usual quirks and gadgets you'd usually expect from a Bond film, but it would seem that another release in the world of gaming has overshadowed its success. On its opening day, Microsoft's flagship game, Halo 5 Guardians, made £7.7 million in the UK alone. Yes, the latest installment in the series, which has been running for nearly 15 years now, has made over $400 million so far, achieving the biggest sales record in Xbox history. The game follows the hunt to find the game's main character, the Master Chief. And finally, in consumer tech, Google has found 11 security flaws in Samsung's Galaxy S6 Edge smartphone. The technology giant's flagship product was found to contain errors such as a loophole that could be used by hackers to take control of the victim's phone. Samsung have since stated that most of the issues have now been fixed and that the remaining 3 bugs will be squashed in an update released later this month. Back to you in the studio.
Now, if you could pick the UK's top new tourist attraction, what would it be? And what if I told you that it was right here in Lincoln? Well, Lincoln Castle has beaten some of Britain's top attractions to win the title. I went along earlier to find out more.
It took 10 years and £22 million. And whilst it may look like a dull day today, less than a year after opening its gates, the Lincoln Castle Revealed project has won an international award.
Now in its 30th year, the British Guild of Travel Writers Awards has seen Lincoln Castle fight off fierce competition, such as the Harry Potter Studio Tours in London. Now, to be nominated for the award, the attraction has to have been opened within the last 3 years and nominated for by one of the 270 members on the Guild. John Hogan has this to say about what it means for the castle.
The Travel Writers Award is quite significant because they write and inform others. So it's not just an award in its own right to say, haven't we got a great attraction? But it's been able to send that message out to lots and lots of different people, different readers of different magazines, different journals, different papers, and including broadcast as well. So it really has an effect of having a snowball.
Since opening its gates at the start of April, the castle has seen more than 200,000 punters take in 1,000 years of history. With the tourist season coming to an end for this year, though, the castle will now turn its sights to the Christmas market and all the visitors that will bring. Rachel Lowe's, LSJ News.
Now it's time for our weekly sport update, and to talk us through Lincoln City's quest for FA Cup glory, Adam Tomlinson joins us.
Yes, there's a welcome break from league action this weekend for Chris Moyes' men, as they travel to the south coast to take on Whitehawk in the FA Cup first round. The Imps defeated Tranmere Rovers in the last round and will be looking to make the second round for the first time since 2012. I went along to Sincilbank this morning to find out how City are preparing for the weekend.
FA Cup fever has certainly hit Lincoln City this week, as a smiling Chris Moyes turns his attention to Whitehawk this weekend. He believes the FA Cup is exciting, both on and off the pitch.
It's brilliant. Yeah, people buzz off it, don't they? It's a one-off occasion. Certainly when you're in the lower leagues, it just brings something special to a football club. £1,000 for the TV money is an added bonus that we've got this time. Plus what the cup meant to us when we beat Tranmere, so that's a little bit more. I think there's £18,000 at stake at Whitehawk, so that'll come in very handy, I'm sure.
Lincoln City progressed into the first round after beating Tranmere in the fourth qualifying round replay. The sides drew 0-0 at Tranmere, but when the tie was taken back to Sinselbank, goals from Liam Hearn and Connor Robinson earned them the victory. Chris Moyes' side face a long journey down to Whitehawk on Sunday for the first round of the FA Cup. Their opponents, Whitehawk, are currently fourth in the Vanarama National League South Division and are yet to progress past the first round of the Cup competition. Lincoln City, however, have also been knocked out in the first round of the Cup in their previous 2 seasons. But manager Chris Moyes believes Lincoln aren't the favourites this weekend.
Well, we're not seeing ourselves as favourites at all. You know, we're going down there knowing that we've got a job to do under difficult circumstances, so our feet are firmly on the ground at the minute. We've got a lot of ex-league players there, a lot of conference experience, so it'll be a very, very tough test, and we need to be on our best to come back with something.
So in the last 5 years, Lincoln haven't reached the third round of the FA Cup. They were knocked out twice in both the first rounds and the second rounds, but failed to reach the first round once in the 2011-2012 season. However, this season, Chris Moyes has taken Lincoln's FA Cup run game by game.
One game at a time. I'll tell you on Sunday afternoon about 4:30. Is that all right?
Lincoln City fans will be hoping that they can beat Whitehawk and progress into the second round of the competition. Adam Tomlinson, Sinselbank, LSJ Today. And finally, the Lincolnshire Sport Awards are taking place at the Lincolnshire Showground this evening. Lincoln racing driver Jack Harvey is among the nominations for the Sportsman of the Year award, and Lindham Hockey's Gary Johnson is up for the Coach of the Year award. We'll let you know how they get on. In the meantime, that's all for your sport, and back to you in the studio.
And now for some entertainment news with Emma Tinson. What's been happening in the showbiz world, Emma?
Well, the Hoosiers were in Lincoln at the weekend as they played a gig at the Engine Shed on Sunday evening. But before they did, I spoke to the band about their new album, The Secret Service, and they gave us an insight into their songwriting process.
The craft of songwriting is something that we are actually committed to, and it's something that we're also improving at, and I'd say that's really exciting for us. Around the second album, I think we just kind of, under the pressure and duress of the situation of having to write what would be deemed hit songs, we forgot how to write songs, really.
We'd always get halfway through a song and we'd lose confidence in it because it would be being judged against Goodbye Mr. Ray, or worried about Ray, is this as good? And then you'd never finish it, so like half the stuff never even made it to the end to be even judged properly.
You've lost Martin.
And now let's have a quick look at the weather, and it's set to continue raining until well into the evening, so good luck if you're trying to light a bonfire tonight. Then it'll be a cool and dry 13 degrees overnight, followed by yet more rain in the morning. The rain will finally stop and we'll see a high of 15 degrees during Friday afternoon.
Well, as we promised, we've got a song from the Hoosiers.
Hi, we're the Hoosiers, and this here song be called Worried About Ray.
Truth be told, the truth be told, I'm worried what the future holds, the future holds. I'm starting to worry about Ray. Truth be told, I'm worried what the future holds, future holds. I'm starting to worry about Ray.
That's all today, and join us next week for more. Goodbye.